In America's Best Dance Crew, banners was the way of giving teams who are competing in a season at least some identity, even if it is just for the show. I don't know if there are other ideas for doing it, but this is a good enough idea nonetheless. I know I talked about this in another video, but I want to go into further detail in the subject in this video. First of all, the banners had emblems. It was said that the banners represent the heart and soul of the dance crews. I don't know if anyone ever realized this, but it was the emblems that identify and distinguish between the dance crews in every season, whereas the purpose of the banners were to display the emblems. It does help that the banners were color-coded for easier vision. The concern I have with the emblems is that there are those that I myself can connect to the crews, and there are those that I can't. Now, if the emblems are the primary aspect of the banners that illustrate who the crews are and why they are the crews that they are, they're supposed to do that job like they should so that they fit each crew according to their profiles. If you ask me, not all of them represent their respective crews thoroughly. And to reinforce this point of mine, I'm going to give my commentary of the emblems of the banners of all the crews who officially made it to a seasonal tournament. Now be advised, many images of them that I found online are not in good enough quality, so I recreated every one of them, and those are what I will show you. None of them are one-to-one with the original design, and a lot of them was a lot of work. But I hope what I made looks close enough. Now let's go through them one by one. Enigma. There's a reason for this crew's name, and the question mark says enough about it, so I'm okay with it. Fem 5. A black silhouette of a cheerleader holding up pom-poms with a white F on her chest? Now this is an all-female dance crew of 5 members, but do they really incorporate cheerleader choreography in their dance style? Incorporating a number 5 is an element that works best for this emblem. Maybe fit 5 girls in it somehow. Iconic. This dance crew intends incorporation of Broadway in their dancing, and the members wear matching hats. The emblem in their banner is basically a head wearing a hat. Maybe there is something iconic about it as the namesake. But you know what? I don't see any problem with this. And if this gives enough representation, it works. Live in color. I think this is certainly good enough representation. The dance crew is as vibrant as the colors of this emblem. Fish and Chicks. This one isn't easy to connect with the dance crew. Here's a woman wearing something similar to what the dance crew members wore for their first appearance. This dance crew got its name from that each member has a fish nickname. Nothing seen in this emblem justifies that. So this is one that I'd say doesn't work. Maybe something like a fish with a female face. Secondly, did the name really come from fish and chips? Break skate. This dance crew always wear roller skates when they perform, and that's one thing this emblem got right. I still think it takes more than just a pair of roller skates to describe the crew name, and the reason for the chosen name. Kaba Modern. Call this the most unique if you'd like to, since this is the only emblem for a banner to be in the shape of an oval. But then, why K and M in a scarlet red? Is it just for an abbreviation? Does this emblem say anything about the dance crew, their name, and their dance style? I don't get it. Status quo. Evidently, the members of this dance crew specialize in stunts. In the emblem of their banner, a jewelry in the shape of a four-leaf clover is circled in a chain. Does the crew name fit the crew for its specialties? And does the meaning of the term play a part? And does the emblem put it all together? I don't see the connection. Nevertheless, I do think it looks good. I just feel like this one works for some other dance crew. Jabberwockies. This one is some mess in front of a swirled background. Sure, the dance crew always wear masks when they perform, but it's more like the group should have been known simply as the Masked Dancers. I don't know how this emblem connects to the crew name they've chosen. That, and I honestly think the name doesn't fit the crew for exactly what a Jabberwocky is actually described as. But this is still a good emblem. I like it. Distorted X. I don't know why the dance crew gave themselves this name, but a blurry-looking X seems just right to describe the name. All I can say is that the emblem works just for the crew name. Sass Times 7. By the sound of that name, this is an all-female dance crew comprising of 7 girls. And I guess the sassiness shows when it counts, if they really are as sassy as they say. In this particular emblem, there are more things that don't work than whatever does. It's just a megaphone with a ×7 on it. At least to the best of my understanding, it illustrates that these girls incorporate cheerleader choreography in their dancing rather than actually disclose the sassiness of the dance crew. A megaphone isn't really a good image for symbolizing sassiness, is it? That, and the design of the megaphone itself doesn't look sassy to me. Furthermore, are the ladies in the group really cheerleaders? For the emblem of this dance crew to work, it's got to have something that defines sassy, and it can still have the ×7 on it. Extreme Dance Force. I see in this emblem a face of a guy with sunglasses and a spiky hairstyle. All I can say is this works in its own right. Does it explain the dance crew like it should? I'd rather let someone else explain it. But otherwise, I can get used to this. Fresh Select. I'm not sure what to understand from this one. This is just a white P in such a font that it's probably intended that you see the P and the S. Is this supposed to be an abbreviation for the crew name while detailing that the crew is from Philadelphia that starts with P? This is rather dull, and I don't see its connection to the crew. If they intend their presented dancing to be viewed uniquely as the name suggests, the emblem of their banner should illustrate that somehow. Acid. The crew name is an abbreviation of "and so it is done." In the banner emblem, I see what appears to be radio signal waves. How does it talk about the crew name and its meaning? Does this actually have something to do with one of the crew members being deaf? Even if that's not the case, the emblem would fit the group better if the group had a different name. Supreme Soul. This emblem completely resembles what the crew members wore in their first appearance. But does it really show how supreme the crew is and if the crew has soul? So I'm not sure about this one. Boogie Bots. This dance crew incorporates robotics. So how does this emblem clarify it? And is this really Optimus Prime? Is this just because the crew members grew up watching Transformers? A better identification can be something like a robot dancing the boogaloo. This emblem causes me to think that the identity of this crew is something along the lines of the Autobots. So this emblem works for some other group, or if this group had a different name. Fanny Pack. This dance crew is so named because they always wear fanny packs. There's no relevance seen with just a lightning bolt and a pink background. It could have been a fanny pack for the name's sake. And since it was mentioned that this group listens to 80s music, maybe a bit of 80s retro art could suffice. So Real Crew. Basically a fist bump. I don't know how this identifies the dance crew, if ever. Whoever made this should have asked what makes this crew so real as the name's sake. Super Crew. When I hear that name, Superman comes to my mind. But I suppose this group has its own elements that make them a super crew in the way intended. Now this emblem has a pair of hands making an S, which I think is meant to be like the group's signature pose. You'd think this should be the crew's trademark. Anyway, I think it's good. And if it verifies who the dance crew is, it works. GOP Dance. The name stands for Group of Peace. How does an emblem of the Puerto Rico national flag in the middle of a black and white striped pattern illustrate that? How about the peace symbol and some Latin elements and island elements? Forgive me for offending Puerto Rico, but I can't see the connection of the crew and their name with this emblem. Box cutters. I'm not sure about this emblem. There's a box alright, and complementary colors are okay, I guess. But maybe a brown box makes more sense. And referring to the crew name, maybe the box being cut open. Why this name anyway? What does cutting boxes have to do with anything? I'd say this dance crew of so-called underdogs could have come up with a better name. Then their banner could have a better emblem. T-Millennia. An infinity symbol doesn't tell me enough about the crew and the meaning of the name, and millennia is supposed to mean thousands of years. So what images are worth a representation? This dance crew either deserved a better emblem or should have had a better name to have a better emblem. Either way, I can't see the connection with this. Ringmasters. I consider this emblem one of the easiest. All the members of this dance crew are circus performers, so a circus tent is totally the perfect justification. Dynamic Edition. The members of this dance crew specialize in country clogging. As for the emblem, I can't find the exact words for it, but it certainly reminds me of country, and I like it for what it is. Overall, if it defines the group well enough, it works well enough. Strikers All-Stars. These members are steppers, and that's at least one thing about the group their banner emblem establishes. It's just a stepper's feet doing the traditional stepping. I like it, but I don't know how it coincides with the name, if ever. But if it's just enough to work, I'll take the case. Fly Kicks. In this emblem, it looks like a necklace with a pendant of the word fly around a lady's neck. Unless someone can explain this to me, I don't see how much this defines the crew name, let alone describe the crew members being divas. Maybe it could help that at least one butterfly or at least one bird is implemented. Beat Freaks. There's a black silhouette of a person holding up a radio in the emblem. It looks good on its own, but that's all. How is everything about this all-female dance group represented by this? Quest Crew. In the emblem, It's simply a Q traced with 3 lines. If I got this right, the crew name is named after the Quest Learning Center, where the crew members work. As simple as the emblem ever seems, I don't understand the representation or its connection to the crew name. Fresh. I suppose this crew is so named because the crew members intend fresh stuff in their dancing. But why is their banner emblem a slice of orange? It kind of makes me think the crew should have had orange in the name. And I feel uneasy for especially the drop of juice coming out. All in all, coming up with the right emblem for this dance crew is difficult. And I'm not seeing how this one works. Artistry in motion. The members of this dance crew are all women, and such who move their bodies in specific ways. And this emblem displays it actually nicely. So this one works well enough. Southern Movement. This is a very good emblem. The design of the belt buckle really helps the emblem give a good feeling of country as the dance crew themselves. Anyone can come to like it like I did. That's all I can say. Beat Your Feet Kings. The name isn't easy for me to come around. And an emblem of a sneaker with a tan orange crown on the side? Maybe the crown being a gold color could have worked better. Vogue Evolution. It was made obvious that this dance crew specializes in voguing. And this emblem of a hand doing a snap with colored streaks coming out of it? I don't see how this symbolizes voguing. Rhythm City. For what the dance crew is, this emblem for their banner is just right and I love it. Scenery of a city with speakers on the skyscrapers? I can't think of anything better. Massive Monkeys. The dance crew consists of b-boys, so a monkey with a cap in their banner emblem sounds good to me. I do think they could have made the monkey look much happier though. Afro Buddy K. There's a palm tree in this emblem. And is that really a dancing person next to it? Now how does this signify that the members are from Hispanic backgrounds and incorporate Latin elements in their dancing? Right now, I don't see the connection. We Are Heroes. Don't get me wrong, but the name sounds more like both women and men can be in the group. As for the emblem, in it is a hip-hop dressed girl winking and doing a peace sign in an art style that resembles anime. What's the representation with this? Is it that this dance crew looked up to Beat Freaks? I'll just say this works only if the representation did its represented dance crew justice. I could connect a bit more with the emblem if it had a female person in a superhero suit. Swagger Crew. Whoever came up with this, what were they thinking? Is this really supposed to be a rooster head? And how does it describe that this dance crew has swagger? What image even is correct for symbolizing swagger? I'd say this doesn't work. Royal Flush. Not much I can say about cards in a flush, but for what this dance crew intends, this emblem is perfect, even if it is just for the name. So this one works. Static Noise. I have absolutely no idea how to visualize the sound of static, but if it can be pictured like this, then this emblem works just fine to fit the name. Heavy Impact. This dance crew consists of bulky men. Does the emblem for their banner verify that? I'm not certain enough of the anvil, but I guess I can get used to it. Saltari. Straightforward, this dance crew always incorporates jumping rope in their dancing. So for only that, this emblem makes sense. I'm not equally certain about the crew name though, but that's another story. Jungle Boogie. Did the crew name really name themselves after the hit song by Kool and the Gang? Because that's how I see it in this emblem. They intended the element of jungle in the name, so that could have been applied in the emblem. As it is, though, it looks good anyway. Hype 5-0. Something tells me this dance crew named themselves after Hawaii 5-0, but the tiki head in the emblem is pretty good, and for signifying that the group is purely Hawaiian. I still think the emblem could have had more than that in order to identify the group completely. Blueprint Crew. I wouldn't say this group of Canadians is the luckiest here, but they got the perfect banner for their crew name. A blueprint design in their emblem? Just right is what I would say. Choreotics. While this dance crew incorporates robotics in their dancing, there's a reason they came up with that crew name. Their banner emblem features one of the members as an 8-bit video game character. I can understand it if this is meant to mean that they move like video game characters. Overall, this is okay, and so I like it just enough. I want to ask though, did they get their style from watching BoogieBots? Eclectic Gentleman. This emblem tells me that the crew members always wear bow ties. I don't see it saying anything about who the dance crew is or what their dance style is, but it works if it represents well enough. Suppose it's an aspect that makes them eclectic as their namesake. Regardless, I actually like this emblem. Jagged. This dance crew completely consists of pole dancers, and that's one thing their banner emblem got right. But how is the crew name and why it was chosen implied in it? This emblem makes me think that the crew could have simply called themselves the Pole Dancers. Footwork Kings. For a skillful crew, they have a unique name. If I get this right, the emblem for their banner has someone performing footwork with images of crowns in the treads under the shoe soles. I'm not certain enough of this either. It could have been just legs in a basic footwork position, and there can still be golden crown idents on the shoes, or something similar to what Beach Feet Kings had, but better. Request. A woman's face with sunglasses and hair looking like fire? What does that have to do with the crew name and meaning and intended dance style? I don't get it. Do the crew members themselves get it? 787 Crew. It was said that 787 is the area code of Puerto Rico. So how does this emblem of someone doing a freeze in front of a vertical national flag of Puerto Rico emphasize that? I don't think this works. Maybe this is a good instance to feature the design of the flag, but shouldn't the numbers be the center of attention? Instant Noodles. Well, never mind the crew's background and dance style, a hand holding chopsticks doesn't look right. It should have been a bowl of microwave heated noodles, and there can still be chopsticks. Street Kingdom. The second half of the name gives a medieval feeling, and that's likable about this emblem, talking about the shield. But I think something better could have been done. The crown could have been kept, but at the diagonal opposite there can be crisscrossing swords. The other 2 quarters can be occupied by dancers in different crump positions. After all, this group specializes in crumping. Funk Phenomenon. To tell you the truth, Two opposite P's with an upward arrow in the middle looks creative. I don't see it define the dance crew that it's for, but it surely looks like a perfect logo for something. Iconic Boys. I guess an emblem of a boy's upper body in a red sweater works for the most part. It just doesn't need the NJ bling. I think putting a pendant there with the iconic emblem works better. It was mentioned that these crew members had a teacher who is in fact one member from Iconic, so I wouldn't be surprised if this dance crew was named after that dance crew. I Am Me. A hand of all the crew members in triangular configurations in the emblem? Given the name and meaning, if the representation is there, it works. Regardless, I managed to come to like it. Funkdation. I can't sit with an emblem of some bird in a kind of art if I can't see it helping define the dance crew consisting of funk dancers from Mexico. And is the kind of art seen in the emblem really Mexican? Erratic. I don't know the exact term of this hand signal, but does it show that the crew is indeed erratic according to the name? I'm not certain about this. Mixed elements. I'm not sure how one atom can contribute to the crew name's definition. Maybe a couple of atoms of different sizes? Step Boys. Seriously, can even the basic stuff about this dance crew be explained by just a mustache? I don't see it working. Collision Crew. For a dance crew named because of involvement in a car accident, the emblem for their banner being just a car and a city background isn't quite the correct representation. It would make more sense if there was at least one car in a wreck, but that would be unbearable to look at, which boils down to coming up with a better name. Rated Next Generation. Now how does the emblem of the RNG letters in a graffiti design do the talking? It's a nice emblem on its own, and I like it. But it's another story if it doesn't do what a banner emblem is supposed to do. Most Wanted Crew. An emblem of hands in handcuffs makes me think that the crew members used to be criminals, but they never were. If there is a specific reason the crew consider themselves most wanted as the namesake, that's what's supposed to be seen in the emblem. This is interesting nevertheless. 8 Flavas. This isn't working for me. I don't see anything about the crew represented by this emblem. What face is this? A tiki or a doll? Don't say it's both. It can't be. The emblem should feature exactly what makes up the group, albeit in a total of 8. Electrolytes. I guess those people were unclear of the right image for electrolytes and put in one guy doing the group's signature pose in the desert. I think it looks good, and if it represents the crew correctly, I can accept it. Phew, that was a lot to look at, right? So if it's the case that it's actually the emblems that do the work of identifying the dance crews, there should have been a better process for making them to properly describe the dance crews that compete in a tournament, because the emblems will be seen again and again, and even the crews themselves would want them to work. I think the best way for an emblem to work in such a way is when all the needed information of a dance crew is obtained and incorporated. And all the imagery in the final emblem is approved by all members of that particular crew. And it is the emblems from the banners that are seen most often. To give an example, the emblems are shown at the bottom of the screen with the crew's name and place of origin. It happens while crews are performing and waiting for their results. I think it doesn't have to happen that many times. I think it would work best when it happens only once in each episode during introduction of the crews. Another instance the emblems are on screen are right next to a name of a crew member, and that emblem correctly identifies which crew the person belongs to. Don't get me wrong, that completely works. The emblems also transition to the rightful crews rehearsing their routines, and also montages of the crews who reach more than halfway through a season. In the transitions, the emblems are surrounded in some kind of metallic ring. They just show up with a swoosh up and in front of the screen and zoom towards the screen before a white flash onto footage of represented crew. But in the 7th season, whatever the metallic finish looks like, is it really supposed to be gold? I personally prefer the shiny gray appearance that resembles platinum and chromium and stainless steel. It just functions better for me. My point is, I think there could have been a more appealing transition as well as another transition back to the live show. Here's how I would like the transitions to go. First, the transitions to and from footage of a rehearsal. This gives the idea of the emblem coming off the banner to present the footage like a monitor, and then going back on the banner when the footage is finished. Note that there is no metallic ring. I think there's no need for it. And here's the transition for a montage. This one is meant to be like you're watching the montage in the emblem while it's on the banner. And that transition only needs to be used once for each dance crew. But the emblems are just one aspect. The second aspect I want to bring up is the banner size. I'll give it to you this way. In the first season, when banners were made to identify the crews, they all had the same fixed dimensions so that they all fit together to be hung in one line above the stage. And each banner sure did look wide enough for the emblems to be observed. 9 crews competed that season, so there were 9 banners. But the following season, 10 crews started competing, so there had to be 10 banners hanging. And that meant new dimensions for all the banners to fit. I think it's still the same length, but here, the width of the banners seem a bit narrower, and the emblems are smaller, and are all encased in white, then black outlines, which I can't really consider necessary enough. The next season started with 9 crews again, while the banner dimensions from the second season were used again, and those dimensions have been used since. Now, this is a good reason why there should be the same number of crews in every seasonal tournament. It's so that their banners to hang and be noticed will always have the same dimensions to fit whatever hangs the banners, and that they will be big enough for the emblems and all the basic information of the crews to be seen. As the emblems are shown in the banners, so are the regions the dance crews represent. As I summarize, the regions of the United States are East, South, Midwest, and West. And the region which a crew originated is shown at the bottom of the banner. As for the crews from other countries, their regions ended up being other words. The region of GOP Dance and 787 crew, both from Puerto Rico, is Caribbean. That works well. And the region of Request from New Zealand is Pacific. In the 7th season, some represented regions were not correct. First examples to bring up are the Canadian crews. The banner of Blueprint Crew says East, whereas the banner of Erratic says North. Isn't it supposed to say East as well? The banner of Blueprint Crew has East on it probably only because that crew auditioned at East Regionals. So why did the banner of Erratic say North? Is it among the regions of Canada? And the region represented by Funkdation from Mexico is Sur. That's Spanish for South. Is that among the actual regions of Mexico, if any? The represented region of RNG said Northwest when it was supposed to be West. That crew was from the state of Washington, as with Massive Monkeys, whose banner said West. The represented region of 8 Flavas said Pacific when it was supposed to be West. So it was said that crew represented Hawaii, just like Hype 50, whose banner said West. Now the regions mentioned are by definition of the United States Census. They couldn't stick with it, could they? Now, this is a good reason why the show should allow dance crews from only within the country as implied by the name. It's the simplest method of representing regions by one definition. And allowing groups from other countries would mean complicated measures to term correct regions for representing. But otherwise, that kind of information doesn't need to be included, does it? As for my preference, I feel it working for me, let alone what the show decided in the first place. As for other stuff on every banner, there's the white America's Best Dance Crew logo at the top, and right below the crew name under the emblem is printed the most accurate location where the crew was formed, which is either black or white to stand out from the respective background colors. I best suggest finding the color opposite to the background color of the banner and grayscale it to apply to the words. That way, the logo and place of origin and even correspondent region can stand out from the background color of the banner, but less enough than the emblem. I shouldn't forget this aspect. The material the banners are made of. You know why I said material? If you can notice, in the first 4 seasons and the 6th season, if I'm not mistaken, the banners are all made out of the same material. But in the 5th and 7th seasons, the banners are made out of some other material. Proof of this is that when a banner is released, it's more likely to crumple as it falls. And you can even be able to see the reversing of that banner. Did they forget the materials they were using, or did they have to resort to something cheaper, if not cost effective? Whatever the case, using something else makes it feel not the same anymore. And for me, it's not in a good way. So when making banners, it should be remembered exactly what material is having dance crew information printed on the banner, and the material doesn't have to be something too expensive. I'm best used to when all banners are made out of the same material, and that's what I recommend. And the material doesn't have to be anything too costly. Each season, banners are hung in no particular order as if each was selected at random. At least at first, there's nothing wrong with that. But after a while, you're not so certain anymore, are you? But then, is there actually an order at all? And I bet no one who watched the show then would bring this up. But in the 4th season, the strangest thing was ever done to the banners in that season. Every week, the banners were rearranged in a different order. What experiment do you call that exactly? Honestly, I think it would work best if there was a certain order the banners are displayed. My personal recommendation is in alphabetical order of the dance crew names from left to right. But finally, I want to talk about the championship banner. After the winning crew is announced, the runner-up crew is dismissed with their banner released. Then Randy Jackson comes on stage, congratulates the crew who won, and calls for the championship banner to be rolled down in front of the one banner left. In the 6th and 7th seasons, as soon as the winning crew is revealed, the championship banner is immediately opened up without Randy Jackson's instruction. There's a reason for that, but that change seemed rather more on the drastic side of things. Why couldn't they just do what they did in the first 5 seasons? Sticking to the roots, if you know what I mean. I'm supposed to be talking about the banner, but I wanted to get out of the way whatever I just talked about. As for the championship banner, it's bigger than a standard banner identifying a dance crew, so that's agreeable. However, in the 6th and 7th seasons, the championship banners feel a bit smaller. Also, in the first 5 banners, the banner emblem of the crew who won is a bit bigger, whereas in the last 2 banners, the emblem seemed smaller. Is that right to you? The name of the winning crew is also seen, but in the first two banners, the name is in front of the emblem and at the bottom. In the others, the name is right underneath without ever touching the emblem. They could have gone with simply that in the first place. In the last two banners, the name of the dance crew is visually bigger than the emblem. I call that pointless. Then there's the color of the championship banner. In the first season, the banner was a kind of magenta, and going down fades to same color of the background of the crew's banner. They could have just decided the championship banner having the same background color as that of the one banner that would be left still hanging. And wouldn't you know? That's what they did since the second season. Overall, I can agree that every championship banner doesn't require having the same background color, but each banner for every season having the same background color as that of the banner of the crew that wins is only the easiest. And last and least, each and every championship banner lists which season is won by a winning team, which the process and progress wasn't kept well enough. Here's how I want every championship banner to look like. It should be about 5 times the area of a regular banner, while having the emblem of the banner of a champion crew of that season being twice as large, and the crew's name be underneath the emblem without touching the emblem, and just large enough to fit, and the same background color as the crew's own banner. The champions at the bottom is a graphically glossy gold, and the America's Best Dance Crew on top is in grayscale of the opposite of the background color. In America's Best Dance Crew, banners were a good idea indeed. It's just that it wasn't executed well enough. Some aspects worked and some did not. And some other things of the show weren't right either in order for the banners to look right, feel right, and work right. Sure, you shouldn't judge a crew by their banner, but there is such that I don't see actually defining the crews. In fact, I can't be wrong about that. There are a few aspects of all banners, and even the championship banners, that don't work at all. In the end, it wasn't perfected. And some other things about the show contribute to that. I think banners were good to have on America's Best Dance Crew, but I believe there should have been standards for these banners to work like they should. And the standards I came up with, I believe they will make it work better. But what do you have to think about it? Do you think the banners were a good idea? Can you connect each and every emblem perfectly to the respective dance crews? Do you think the banners are okay as they are? And if not, what do you think each banner should have? Comment what you think. And thanks for watching.